In this tutorial, it's about the sequence commander code. It's being written for CM-510 or CM-530. There's another version that you can check out made for the CM5 using the AXS1 for the sensor. This piece of code is modified from the Barlow stem sequence racer, but the sequence racer has only two-wheel drive, but we modify the code so it runs on a four-wheel drive bot. And essentially, it's a learning phase. When you start the code, it will be your learning phase. And what it does is you can press up, down, left, right button on the controller as any particular sequence, up to only 5 car maneuver, or you can press the button only 5 times. And then if you do that, the bot will remember it. And then the replay phase, you put the start button and then replay the 5 directions that you programmed the bot to do when doing the learning phase. If you somehow pushed above 5, so basically when you push the 6th button or push the button for the 6th time, it will clear all out its sequence that it learned before, and then it just restart the learning phase. All right, so let's start it. So let's turn it on so that you can see. So I'll just leave it here. I'm going to explain the code before we got to play with it. So start program. You notice that I created 4 parameters called speed, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of them have 400. This mainly so that you can check to see if when you tell it to go forward, does it really go forward? Because the motor could be different, the way you construct the bot, things are out of line. When you tell it to go forward, it may not go forward, or when you tell it to go backward, it may not go backward. I mean, in a straight line, that is. You know, it may go forward, but it's not going forward in a straight line. Okay, so this is just to give you the user an option to fine tune, so that makes sure that when you tell it to go straight, it actually goes straight, either forward or backward. Next we define a few variables. Forward time, we're going to give about a second. When it pivot, we're going to pivot only for half a second. And then we have some standby time that we can use. First thing it does next is called initialize. And initialize is here. Whenever a function initialize does, it reset the parameter called button number to 1. Essentially, it corresponds to it's ready to handle the first button that you push, the user push. Next, it's need to set up the extra to wheel mode. Essentially, write 0 to address number 8 for the ID from 1 to 4 because we do have 4 servos. So to do that, it create a for loop. Where the ID, which is a temporary parameter, we will vary from 1 to 4. And inside, just have the if statement. This if statement we have seen before. Essentially, it's under custom. And remember, previously we used to put on a fixed number here, number 4. But you can also type in a parameter, an address 8, and it's a word. So every time the for loop is executed, so the first time it does is ID equal 1. So therefore, this statement essentially become if ID of 1, and you go to address number 8 and you look at it, it's not set to 0. That means it's in position control mode. Set that address 8 to 0, or put a value of 0 to the address 8 of that specific ID, which is first time it loops over equal to 1. And then loop around next time, ID equal 2. So therefore, it's gonna reset ID 2 to wheel mode, and then likewise to ID 3, ID 4, and then it's done. So when it's done, we call initialize. We got here, and we have 2 endless loop this time. It's an outer endless loop and an inner endless loop. So when the program executes the first time, I'm going to go through the outer endless loop. And what it does is essentially just kind of signify the beginning of new learning session. So essentially play manually 0 so that the user know that, hey, I'm entering learning mode. And then it enter the inner endless mode or endless loop. So first thing it does, wait while. If there's no button is pushed, it just stay here. So you can see that basically from the outside, all you see is just the bot just sit there doing nothing. Wait while you're pushing the up, down, left, right button here. In any sequence you want, up to 5 buttons. Okay. All right. So eventually you push something. So you push the first button. Because you push the first button, this condition become false. It won't wait while at statement 29 anymore. It get out of it. It go to 30 and go to 31. And 31 is just a big if statement. Essentially, if you happen to be pushing either up, down, left, or right, either one of those 4 buttons, it will get inside this if structure. And once it gets inside this structure, whatever button you push, it's saved to a variable called button. Next, called button standby. With button standby, actually a very short function, but it's very important. So the key thing you have to remember is you just push some kind of button. Whatever information is, it could be up, down, left, right, and you save into a parameter called button. Next, then let's go down to the function called button standby to see what that thing does. Let's see. Let me get to it. Here we go. Button standby. You actually have only one statement. They say wait while the button being pushed, not or the negation of this, which is essentially no button to push. So in here, we're using double negation. And you know how double negation can be really confusing in normal everyday life. But in the boil down to if you negate that no button was pushed, it's logically equivalent to being some of the button being pushed. I'll put it in simple English. This wait while here, essentially just waiting for the user to release any button, whatever button the user happen to be pushing. So this is key because the computer runs so fast, and even how fast I can do, still I'm not going to be fast as a computer. So this basically the computer essentially had to wait for me. Basically the computer had to wait for me to release the button. So when I release a button, you get out of this function button standby. Okay, so let's go back. So remember, it just pick up whatever button you push, save to the variable called button. It waits for you to slow folks or slow poke like humans are to release the button. You get out there, and then if it found out that it was the first button you pushed, therefore button number parameter is equal to 1. We call button init. And what does button init do? Okay, here we go. So every time you trigger function button init, what it does, it zero out 5 parameter called button 1 to button 5. So essentially these will be the parameter that's saved. When you push the first button, it says button 1. The second button, data, whatever you push, it say the button 2, and so forth for 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so button init essentially just zero out the information that the bot here trying to remember. Okay, so we're back. So remember, first time around, the button number is set to 1. We call button init. We clear out button 1 to button 5. Whatever the information is, remember, it's saved to button. That's saved button 1, because essentially this case happened only when you push the button the very first, one of the buttons for very first time. And then they throw in call button standby again, just for good measure, just to be help you debounce that switch, that button you push. Next, call buzzer button. And what buzzer button do? Here we go. Buzzer button essentially just play the scale me for 0.1 of a second. So very short little blip. So essentially these buzzer here just basically it's a way for the controller to respond to the human being that, hey, you have pushed the button. Okay, you're in good shape. It's more of a user interface than anything else. But it's important so that we know how we interact with the robot. It increment button number. So remember it was 1. So when it's done with the if, button become number 2. When it's done that, it exits through this big if structure. It hit the inner loop. So therefore it could come back. And when it come back, it wait here again until you push the second button. And then if you don't push it, just stay there. You push the second button and it's up, down, left, or right. We'll go into this big if statement again. Let's say whatever button you just push, waiting for you to release the button. But this time again, this time when it go release the button number is 2 now. It's not 1 anymore. So it's going to trigger this section. And you notice in this section, doesn't have call button in it because everything is good so far. So you don't need to clear out your button in it anymore. So whatever button you push, let's say the button 2, would wait for you to release the button. Say, hey, it's okay. So give a good sign that you pushed a button cleanly. It increment the button number. That means from 2, it can become 3. And then, of course, go through the end of the inner loop and come back here again. So you can see you can do that up, down, left, right in any combination up until 5 times. So you can see eventually number 5 or button number 5 or the 5th button you push, you save the button 5. That's standby and all that. So therefore, when it's finished, the condition when the button number is 5, button number got increased to 6. So it's still going through the inner left loop and come back here again. And wait here doing nothing because you don't push anymore. But let's say you push another one of these up, down, left, right button for the 6th time now. When it does that, you're going to trigger this very last else if statement because button number is 6 now. It will trigger buzzer failure. And buzzer failure is buzzer failure happen to be melody 10. So it failed. We play melody 10. Also it called button in it. And if you remember button in it, it just reset the 5 parameter button 1 to 5 to 0. So basically just clear out whatever you trying to tell it, make it learn or make it remember from the sequence that you put in. So if you push the 6th button pretty much, whatever you did before essentially just kind of wasted and then the reset button to 1. So just clear everything out. You can do anything. So when it cleared everything out, it come back to here and wait for you to enter the button again. Okay. So it'll give you a buzzer failure and tell you, hey, you failed, buddy. You need to enter those up to those 5 directions again. But let's say you are working good with the bot and you enter only 5 combination, a sequence of 5 combination of these possible up, down, left, right button. You're done with it 5 times and you sit here and wait. But now instead of putting up, down, left, right, you push a start button here. But when you put a start button, this big if statement no longer apply. You go all the way down to here and check, did you actually push the start button? If you did, it reset the variable called button number to 1. It breaks the loop. And when it breaks the loop, it's going to break the loop out of the loop that the break loop is in. That means the innermost loop, which happen to be break out the inner endless loop here. Therefore, it's going to get out here. You get to this point, it play buzzer success, and buzzer success is Melody 1. Okay, so I play Melody success, and essentially ready to replay the recorded sequence the maneuver I just did. So remember, button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially could have the information that the bot need or the bot remember from the user when the user push it in that sequence of button. Okay, so say button. So first it does button 1, which is essentially maneuver 1 or direction 1, into a paragraph called move type, and then called move. So move type could be up, down, left, right, whatever the user happen to have done. Called move. Let's go down to move, see what move does. So essentially move is a big else if structure. So if you happen to be pushing U, well, you trigger the move type happen to be U, and then it just trigger the function called forward. And call forward just setting up the 4 servo motors so that the whole bot goes forward. For how long? Whatever the forward time is, which is about basically it was 1 second. Here we go. Pivot time half a second, essentially. Okay, so go forward. So basically, you go forward for 1 second. You wait. Wait how long? Because the wait function, all it does is just set whatever the wait time is, which you remember, it could be 1 second or 0.5 seconds. It's set up to the hardware timer inside the controller, and it wait for that long. Okay. So every time that it perform an up, down, a forward, backward, reverse, or rotate, a forward or backward, it will do it for 1 second essentially, and then it actually stop and stop. The moving velocity set to 0, so it does stop. So while we're at it, you can see reverse. You just move everything in reverse. Same amount of time as forward time, which is 1 second. Wait and stop. But you can see that every time it executes a maneuver when doing the replay phase, it will do it, stop for a little bit, and then go on to the next. So pivot left and pivot right, you can see using pivot time. Therefore, it will do this operation only for half a second. Okay, so that's what function move does. A big if-else structure. It will do forward, reverse, left, or right as needed. So you remember, we just did only button 1. It moved accordingly to button 1. When it's done, this first maneuver, whatever the value for button 2 is, it goes to move type and then trigger move again. So therefore, it will do up, down, left, right. It go forward, backward, or left as needed. And then it does it for button 3. And then the button 4, and then button 5. And then it hit the end, the outer endless loop. So when it get here, it had to come back all the way to the outer endless loop. Basically play melody 0 again. And essentially when the user hear that, the user say, hey, the robot is ready to record a new set of my sequence, a button, up to 5 again. And then here we go again. It will record whatever you push, the user pushes on the up, down, left, right button. And there it goes. Okay. So we're ready to play the code. So just in case, no error. COM3, CM-510. I'm going to download. Okay. Then there's no output of anything. So I'm just going to go OK. I'm going to disable, unplug the cable from USB to the mixer, and we are ready to play. So right now, as usual, you can see the play button is flashing. So I'm ready to start. So play basically its ready position, ready song there. So now I'm ready to do. So I'm just gonna push something. I'm pushing up, down, right, left, and then up again. So I push 5 times. Okay. Now I'm gonna push start, up, down, left, right, up again, and stop. Okay. So let's say if I did it is ready to do again, but I'm go up, down, left, over, left, right, down, 5. This is the 5th time, and I push again for the 6th time. So it go to buzzer failure and it clear everything else. So I had to redo everything again. So let's say I'm just going to go up and left, just 2 direction or a sequence of 2 maneuver only. Push start, and go up and left and stop. Okay, so we can play some more again. So it's ready to play. Up, left, right, start. Here we go.